What if the sun suddenly stopped emitting light, but its gravity continued to function exactly the same? Because while most people think of the sun only as a source of brightness in the sky, it is actually the engine that powers nearly every system on Earth. And in this scenario, the sun would not explode, disappear, or lose mass. It would simply go dark, and Earth would continue orbiting normally, completely unaware that the most important source of energy in the solar system had shut off. And approximately 8 minutes after the sun stopped shining, the first sign of catastrophe would appear, as daylight instantly vanished across the planet. Not slowly like a sunset, but suddenly, as if someone switched off reality itself. And cities around the world would be thrown into confusion as artificial lights turned on in the middle of the day. And within minutes, global temperatures would begin to fall as the constant stream of solar heat vanished, and plants everywhere would immediately stop photosynthesis, cutting off the foundation of the food chain. Meaning that even though humans might still have stored food, the natural production of oxygen and energy would begin collapsing at the molecular level. And within hours, clouds would start to thin, evaporation would slow, storms would weaken, and the weather systems that depend entirely on solar energy would begin to shut down. And as the first night continued without sunrise, surface temperatures in many regions would fall below freezing, especially away from the equator, causing crops to die and water sources to begin freezing. And within the first day, the oceans would start forming thick layers of ice at the surface, trapping heat below but sealing the planet into a frozen shell, while winds would grow weaker and eventually disappear altogether, creating an eerie silence across the surface of the Earth. And within days, ecosystems would collapse in a cascading chain reaction, as herbivores starved without plants. Predators followed soon after, and only the hardiest organisms near geothermal vents or volcanic regions would have any chance of survival. And humans would retreat underground, relying on nuclear power, geothermal heat, and stored resources to survive in isolated pockets, knowing that the surface of their planet was becoming increasingly hostile. And as weeks passed, the situation would grow even more extreme as the atmosphere itself began to freeze, nitrogen falling from the sky as snow, oxygen condensing into liquid, thinning the air until breathing on the surface became impossible, turning Earth into a silent, frozen world where sound barely traveled and no weather existed. And yet, through all of this destruction, gravity would continue working perfectly. The moon would remain in orbit, tides would still move slowly beneath kilometers of ice, and Earth would continue circling a dark, invisible sun that still held the solar system together. And from space, the planet would appear strangely calm, a frozen marble drifting through darkness, giving no hint of the collapse that had wiped out nearly all life. And this scenario exposes a deeply unsettling truth about our existence, that gravity alone cannot sustain life. That light is not just illumination, but energy, structure, and order. And without it, Earth does not tear itself apart or drift into space. It simply shuts down piece by piece, quietly and efficiently, proving that life on Earth is not strong because it is powerful, but because it exists in a delicate balance that can be destroyed faster than human civilization can react. And when we imagine a dark sun hanging in the sky, we begin to understand that the most terrifying disasters are not explosive or dramatic, but silent, gradual, and unavoidable. And that the thin beam of sunlight reaching Earth every day is not a guarantee, but a temporary gift holding the entire living world together.